This podcast, hey, hold on, brand new podcast. Whoa,
nice.
Switch it up. My special, Hey Big Boy, is streaming right now on Netflix. So go to Netflix and check out Hey Big Boy and enjoy it. If you're home like we are, enjoy it.
And make sure you watch the credits.
And make sure you watch the credits. The credits are super important.
They're super cool.
We left a bunch of Easter eggs in the credits. My bestie Tom Segura's special Ball Hog is streaming as well.
What a name. Who came up with that name?
Stool Hog. He's got 2 stools in there. Check out his. We got a new Two Bears, One Cave coming out every single week. And I am on Rogan this week. That is it for anything to promote. We are holed up. I'm going to be doing a podcast with Leanne soon just to talk about how things are going.
With homeschooling? So awesome.
I am headed to the endodontist right now to get a root canal. I have what our dentist called the biggest cavity he's ever seen.
Yeah, it was pretty Grand Canyon-esque.
Oh, I'm in so much fucking pain.
It was pretty much half your tooth.
This is very poetic that this would happen to me during the coronavirus.
Why?
It's how this shit happens, Leanne. Look at any great hero, Tom Hanks in Castaway. He had a toothache. Toothaches bring down heroes.
Is that right?
And and I've been losing weight. I've been running hard. And I think, I got to be honest with you, I think running is what caused it because I have a...
No, running did not cause your cavity. I'm sorry. I think it might be eating too many Skittles and not going to the dentist for 8 fucking years. Maybe they would have caught your cavity 8 years ago and filled it.
Guys, if you want to hear hot takes like this, check out Leanne's podcast, Wife of the Party. So I'm going to make this a quick intro. I know you just want to hear the podcast right now. That's where my head is. Check out me on Rogan this week. Check out me and Tom's specials. Hey Big Boy and Ball Hog. Do me a favor. Word of mouth is a game changer in this business. So if you enjoy either of them, you'll probably like mine more, but if you enjoy either of them, just tell your friends. Send out a group text to your friends. Hey man, if you're on Netflix and you've finished watching Cat King, Tiger King, check out Hey Big Boy or Ball Hog, whatever. My mouth is in so much pain.
Well, we're going to go fix it.
We're going to go fix it, and we're running late to the endodontist, so I'll get you right into the podcast. This podcast was recorded by before the outbreak of COVID-19 or the coronavirus. This was recorded before, so you're not going to hear talk about it. So I hope you can tap out. I hope you're done listening. By the way, Tom and I are trying not to talk about it. Joe and I talked about it a little bit, but I'm going to try I have a podcast with Dr. Drew where we talk about it, but I'm going to try to avoid the topic because you already know what's going on. You're already watching the news. You're not coming to me to find more information or how I'm doing with my family. You're doing yours with your family and keeping it locked down. And I'm doing the same, and I'm going to try to make things lighter when you listen to this podcast. That's my attempt. I don't really give a fuck about shedding more light on the virus. I just want you to be entertained. So if you want to get on the treadmill and not think about the world, that's why. This is when comedy's been needed the most. So this is a conversation. Oh, wait, you know what? I'd like to thank our sponsors at Whoop. We are living in some crazy times right now, and anxiety is at an all-time high. And as we self-quarantine to combat this COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic, we're stressed. And when we're stressed, sometimes we don't sleep well. And when we don't sleep well, our immune systems become weakened and become more prone to getting sick. And the best way to combat and boost your immune system is through great sleep. And right now, it could not be more important to have a product like the Whoop fitness tracker. Whoop is the best in its class when it comes to sleep tracking, and even lets you know when you should be going to bed based on how strenuous your day was. When we're stressed more than normal, we need to sleep more as a result, and Whoop gives the insight and the feedback to help make better sleep performance habits. I am actually sleeping phenomenally, better than I ever have in my entire adult life, definitely better than Sober October. And it's based on Whoop letting me know when I should go to bed. And if you're stuck at home training like I am, Whoop has built-in strain coach features that actually set exertion goals so you can optimally work out so you're not losing out on your fitness goals during this self-quarantine. Make the best out of this situation. Optimize your sleep and performance with Whoop. Sleep better with personalized insights and strengthen your immune system. Train optimally and don't get out of shape while you're stuck at home. For my listeners, Whoop is offering 15% off with the code BERT at checkout. Go to whoop.com. That's WHOOP.com and enter Bert at checkout to save 15% off. Sleep better, recover faster, train smarter, optimize your performance with Whoop. Thank you to all my sponsors. We had a few more mid-roll reads in there. Thank you very much, guys. They're definitely keeping the lights on at times like these. So I hope you enjoy these podcasts. We're going to try to double up, bring more podcasts. I talked to Dr. Drew. For the future, we are social distancing during these podcasts. I am 6 feet away from Halston. We don't touch. I'm 6 feet away from my guest. We don't touch. And we keep distances. And as long as they say, as long as they keep it where we're at 10 or less people, this is still following the rules.
And we Lysol everything.
And we Lysol the fuck out of everything. Halston literally cleans us up like he killed a man after the podcast. So we're all staying safe. And I want you to stay safe. And listen, the numbers are going to bump a tad bit in the next few days, but don't get nervous. That's because of the latency period. Bert, you thought you weren't going to talk about the virus. I'm not.
We just haven't peaked yet.
Yeah, we just have a peak chat. So today's podcast is with Mike Vecchione. Mike Vecchione had an album, The Worst Kind of Thoughtful. I listened to it, and it's fucking hilarious. If you're looking for something to get your mind out of it, if you're going for sanity walks or just getting on the treadmill or getting on your elliptical, and you don't want to listen to music because you're tapped out with your music bed and you just want to listen to something that's funny, God damn it, Mike Vecchione's a great comic. He is a great comic. He's one of Attell's favorite comics. That should say all you need to know.
Totally.
Now, should be noted, Mike and I had, all I will say in the past, Mike and I had dated the same girl at one point. We don't talk about that at all. I think we it may be a subtle reference, but it's very long in our past. And by the way, there's no way we didn't know. We'll hear about it. We almost got into a fist fight in our freshman year of college, roughly around this, and that'll come up. But we don't really touch much into it. We both talked before the podcast, and we both hope she's doing really well. And so, and it's like silly to come out and like have that be a topic of conversation when there's so much more to talk about. We get a little emotional. Mike talks about the loss of his father and dealing with his father and his grandfather and his father and himself. And it's really he talks about being engaged and losing that relationship. And it's a great fucking podcast. It really is a great fucking podcast. So if you want to tap out from the news cycle and you want to just listen to two dudes talk who are the same age, who both kind of grew up around the same place, both knew the same people, and now are in the same occupation, oddly fucking enough. I mean, I've been waiting to do this podcast with him for a long time, so I hope I deliver. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you stay safe with your family, stay inside, keep your contact minimal, do what you got to do. Hey, if you're in Sherman Oaks, The Joint is my fishmonger. They are on Ventura. They have tons of fish. They're baking bread daily, I think. They're turning themselves into a grocery store. So if you are local on Ventura in Sherman Oaks, it's called The Joint. And
Ventura and Woodman.
Ventura and Woodman. Hit them up. Tell them Bert sent you. And they've got a ton of fresh fish. So ton of fresh fish. And I think they're bringing in more stuff to kind of take care of the community. So check them out. The Joint. All right.
Yep.
I keep fucking my buddy's my name up. Leeway. Leeway is my man at The Joint. I fuck his name up because I read it and I don't read it right.
Yeah, it's doesn't.
Liwie.
Yeah, it's Leeway.
Leeway. Tell Leeway to stay safe. Tell Leeway to stay safe. But Sherman Oaks, hit up The Joint. They've got your back, and they've got fresh coffee, and their coffee fucking rocks.
Their coffee's awesome. Yes, and they have some nice wines.
Yeah, but stay sober this coronavirus period.
Yeah,
get your health.
But the coffee's amazing.
Yeah,
there.
get your health. Mm-hmm. Shout out to Leeway. Jesus.
Leeway.
Today's podcast, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, stand-up comedian, former state wrestler, my buddy, my Eskimo brother, Mike Vecchione.
He's the man, the myth, the legend, the fucking machine.
What's interesting about you is you are, like, from the guy that I assumed you would be, like wrestler, right, fucking out of like Pennsylvania or Ohio.
Originally from Ohio, yeah.
But you lived in Pennsylvania too, right?
I went to Penn State.
You went to Penn
State.
So
I
right.
placed in Florida in wrestling at States my senior year, and then I went to Penn
we
State.
We met at Rocket's house
briefly.
We almost got in a fight at Rocket's house.
Yeah, I was not. I don't think I was in a good place.
Who was that guy? Like, how? That's my biggest question. is no you like
Oh, yeah.
where because we had met, we had similar pasts. We had obviously both were in Tampa or Florida.
Yeah.
At one point.
Right.
Mutual friends of yours went to Florida State.
Right.
Mutual friends of mine at Florida State knew you. And so I was like, and we had our paths had crossed, in a lunaristic kind of way. And
Right.
then, and when we met you, me and my friends from Tampa met you and your friends,
Right.
we almost got into a fight. So that's my record of you.
Right.
Then cut to, and I, by the way, I could tell you what you were wearing. I remember that so vividly. I could tell you where you were standing. And then I meet you with Big J.
Right.
And we're kind of bullshitting on life experience. Oh, I'm from Boca. And I went, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, hold on. Wait.
Yeah.
And then I realized, and then I'm looking at you going, this is the most sensitive, thoughtful, intelligent, brilliant comedian.
Well, no, I'm not a meat. I look like kind of a meatheady guy, I guess. That's what it was. But
you
I'm
were a
actually
meathead
not.
that night, and so was I, by the way.
Yeah.
But what I want to know about the transformation from that guy, sleeveless shirt cut down to the mid.
That was a style back then, by the way.
It was.
I just got to cut to LA for right now. I didn't rent a car this time.
Yeah.
I'm taking Ubers everywhere. And it's really an experience if I take it in Uber, because in the notes, like it's funny to write stuff like no eye contact. Or it's like, you know what I mean? Like, I have no thumbs, don't want to talk about it. To see if the guy, responds.
Well, the good
to it
thing
at all.
about Uber in LA is you don't have to put on cologne because they put on enough for two.
That's great. Yeah, and it's great to find out their story. And if you go to some of these small towns and take Ubers, like they just go in, they go right in talking politics. They go right in.
Bro, I don't want to. This is where I become a snob. I will not get in just someone's car. Like I'm not getting in a dude's car. I'm getting in. I will only get the premium black car experience or like an SUV. I want a guy in a suit who talks about fucking Glendale and being Persian and his pride and the Armenian genocide.
Yeah, the Armenian guy took me.
Yeah,
here.
Armenian guys. Yeah, but like I will not get in like a regular person's car because I've got so many times you just get in. They're like me and Shane Torres were one the other day, and the guy goes pulls up to the tour bus and he's like, "Oh shit, I'm taking you." And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh, shut the fuck up."
Then he goes,
so then the whole time he is just staring at me in the rearview mirror.
Right.
And then halfway through starts to live stream us. And he's like, I got the machine in my back seat with his friend. Where you going, man? And I'm like, I kind of want to keep that secret. Like, I don't want to put that on your social media. But so like, but the problem I run into.
No, that's great if you flip out. You do one of those TMZ meltdowns and get the camera out of my face, man. I'm warning you. Get it out of my face. I got a short fuse. Like that's great if you like. It's like that. Yeah, I got a temper, and then you just
film me, motherfucker. Film me. Now I'm filming you, dude. My thing I run into, and I've got to be careful of how I word this, is I order Ubers so often from my house, that it's the dudes who live around me that pick me up often. So I've got like 2 or 3 guys that I'll Uber and they'll be like, "Hey, Bert, it's Glenn. I'll be there in 5." And then you get there and it's like we've got running jokes. Like there's one guy, Eugene is his name, but I call him Yevgeny because that's how you say Eugene in Russian. And me and him, I mean, he drives me so much that sometimes I'm not even fucking around. I know you won't believe this, so I'm going to show you the text. He will text me and go, "Hey, man, you need a ride anywhere? Just text me."
That's really great.
And it's fucking awesome because I'll be like, "Actually,
hey, bud, rent's due. Need a ride?"
He texted me the other day. He goes, how do you spell Eugene? Look, I swear to God. He goes, "Hello, how are you? Any rides?" I swear to God. Because and then I was like, "Yeah, I need to go to the Improv." And he was like, "I'll be there at 5." So I was like, "Oh, I didn't even have to call an Uber. He just texted." But I think he knows my schedule.
Right.
So he's like, "It's 8:00. Someone's got spots tonight."
That's great.
And so he's like,
"That's so great."
Yeah, but
you're like, "I wasn't gonna go out, but now that you offered, I think I'm gonna do a spot."
So is that how your brain always on like that? Like when you get in an Uber, you're like, "Here we go." Like
there's comedically, I'm like, there's a chunk here.
You always
somewhere.
see it because your stand-up is. I'm curious of how you write because. And to go back to that, when I met you with Big J, we had all had extremely bad sets that night. Do you remember?
I don't think you had a bad set. I was watching you going, "Oh my God," because I had a bad set. I think Jay did pretty well.
I
and
walked
then,
a paraplegic. Do you remember that? A paraplegic walked, like got up and left. And I was like, "Are you serious?" and then he kept coming in with the straw, like, and he's like, "You suck."
No, but you still had the composure. You had headlining composure, which is like even if it's not going well, you sit in the pocket. You sit in the pocket and you just keep coming. Whereas at that time in my development, I wouldn't have been able to do that. I just would have bombed.
Really?
And yeah. So you had like headlining composure where they were a tough crowd, but you just like stayed in the pocket and kept coming at them. And that's why I looked at it. I was like, wow, it's clear that you've been doing this and you've came up through the clubs.
We well, thank you, but when the first time I saw you do stand up was on Last Comic Standing,
right?
And I was like, oh, shut the fuck up! Like this is premium joke writing. This isn't like this isn't open mic shit. This isn't Last Comic Standing shit.
Right.
This is amazing joke writing. And then I remember texting Jay, and Big Jay was like, oh yeah, he's fucking amazing. And then the next, I want to say the next leap, I see you here and there, but the next big leap was your fucking album is so goddamn good.
Thank you, man. Thank you. And I appreciate you pushing it. You did.
Dude, you
really helped me a lot.
I'm
in terms
telling
of
you,
getting it because nobody was paying attention to it. And you guys like you, Ari, Jay, Attell, like pushing it.
Dude,
so,
what's the name of that album?
The Worst Kind of Thoughtful.
The Worst Kind of Thoughtful.
Yeah.
I have it on my fucking phone. And I'm telling you.
Chad Zumach also. Chad really pushed.
Yeah. And we, I listened to it. I want to say Big J texted me. He's like, have you listened to Vecchione's album? And I was like, no. And he's like, get it. You're going to love it. And so I got it. I listened with the girls in the parking lot of Gelson's, and they're crying fucking laughing.
Oh,
that fucking mega bus bit. And by the way, so I'd never seen or heard of a mega bus.
Right.
So then one day I'm on tour and I'm jogging. I wish I remember exactly where I was, but I'm probably like maybe I want to say Texas, somewhere in Texas, maybe. I don't know where megabuses run,
right.
But I'm jogging around a bus station because it was like a quarter of a mile loop.
Right.
And it was like all the buses met in the center, and there was a sidewalk surrounding the bus station and, an entrance to get them in. And I'm jogging and a mega bus pulls up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I got to fucking see this for myself.
Yeah.
I'm jogging, right?
Right.
And I stop jogging and I just run up and look inside. Everyone looked at me like, oh fuck, here's our PO. Like we're going down. And I was like, and they're like just, and I was like, oh my God, this does not let down. But that's such a great album. I'm literally saying this to anyone listening right now. If you're going on a long ride, if you are going to go walk on the treadmill and you want to laugh, like there are albums to this day that I go, best album ever, Skanks for Your Memories. Skanks for Your Memories is the greatest comedy album that I've ever listened to in my entire life.
Right.
Redefined the way I attempted to do comedy.
Yeah.
I think I went back into a different direction.
Yeah.
But like that album, beginning to end, quotable. What's beautiful about that album is that my wife and I quote that to each other, lines of his. I want it to sound like a boot stuck in mud, only wetter. Did everyone get it that's going to get it?
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Just the tightest word economy that you could possibly have. Me too. It had a profound effect on my life.
Where were you when you heard Skanks?
Somebody recommended to me. That's back when there were CDs.
Yeah.
And I put it on. I'm like, this is the one of, when you see when you see a great movie, you listen to a great song, and it doesn't even have to be in your wheelhouse. Like Hit 'Em Up by the Tupac.
Yeah.
I'm not a gangster rap guy. I'm not a really rap guy. You listen to that song, it's just the lyrics are so tightly written. You're like, this is unbelievable. This guy's a genius.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what is going on in his personal life. He might have been like a bipolar, I don't know. But like, this is brilliant the way, and it's not even in my thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, so, but when I listen to it, I'm like, this is a different way of doing comedy.
And
I saw Dave live at the Laugh House. I came out of the Laugh House in Philly.
Oh, so I was wondering, so where did you get me from a high school, Mike Vecchione, to like today? Or even just to starting comedy.
I was reading my yearbook, and you read the dumb things that in your yearbook and your quotes. It's like, it's just, I had such a dumb. I was never like a dumb kid. I was always like a pretty sensitive kid, and that's good and bad because you can, you know what I mean. It's good because you take more notice of things, but the bad part is like you can get hurt. You know what I mean? If you're sensitive, you know what I mean? So I didn't have that dumb kind of like, nothing can hurt me, fuck you. Like, I just didn't have that vibe. I was like, I was a blue collar guy. I was an athlete, but I wasn't like a naturally gifted athlete. I think there's a difference. When you're a naturally gifted athlete, it's like things come easier to you and you don't have to examine stuff as much. I wasn't like that. I was like a blue collar, grind until you get it type guy.
Really?
Yeah. So
wait, what
with
were you-
wrestling, I went through a lot of like, people were like, oh, you from the outside, it's like, oh, you were a wrestler. You're this guy. It's like, I was getting pinned my sophomore year. I was wrestling varsity, and I in Florida, I made the move and I had a really good program in Ohio. We went to Florida, and it was a little more loosely run, and I did not flourish that well, and I was getting pinned. Like I was getting pinned in home matches, and it's something to get pinned by another kid your own weight in a gym full of people. Like I think people just kind of glaze over that now. It's humiliating. I mean, to me, I was sensitive, you know what I mean? So it was like humiliating to me. And to the point where my sophomore year, I told my parents, like, stop coming to the matches for a while until I can figure out how to be better. Because I would just get pinned and I was humiliated, you know what I mean? So I had to figure out a way to deal. Should I quit? Like, this doesn't feel good. And I don't know what to do. So but I stayed in it. And I went to camp. I went to a wrestling camp, and then I got better. And then my senior year, a guy came down who was he was a college wrestler, and he dropped out. He had got a ride, and he dropped out. And his girlfriend was a few years younger. She went to our school, and he just came out and started working out with the team. And that guy, his name's Tom Lewis. He changed my life. Like, he started working with me and got me to the state tournament and got me through, because I had lost the year before in regionals, and he had got me through to the finals.
What weight did you wrestle at?
160. I was wrestling. I was playing football, and I was a really bulky kid, short but bulky. I played football like 190. So I started the year wrestling at 189 pounds. I cut to 171. I wrestled that most of the year, and then I cut another 11 to 160 for the tournaments.
Did you enjoy cutting weight?
I hated it. That's why I can't do the intermittent fasting or any of that stuff now, because it reminds me too much of cutting weight.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't like it. And
Saunas?
I'm a bulky guy. Like, there's just some guys who
What do you
are
weigh right
naturally
now?
lean. I weigh like 210.
It's great.
That's terrible. I'm 5'8". 210 is
I would
bad.
love
man,
to weigh
for
210. I would
Me. For
love
me,
to
you're
weigh
tall
210.
though. You're like
Yeah.
6'1".
Do you sauna at all?
I like the steam room.
Oh, I love saunas.
Yeah.
I love saunas.
Yeah, sweat
I'm
it out.
fucking obsessed with them. So wait, so what was it? What was it that turned the corner in wrestling for you? Like, what, this one guy comes down, and then was it like did you like discipline?
Yeah. I'm like, because I didn't have the unbelievable athleticism, I needed like a solid, like, structured program, and that's just not the way it was run.
Do you
down there in
realize how
Florida,
different
you know
we are? Because, like, I have no discipline, and I love no discipline. I'm someone that always rested on just like very, like, I was a gifted athlete, but not like over the top, but I could just play any sport and then start and be like, I got it. And then I would never work hard at anything. As my biggest flaw is I always believed in luck and like talent. Like, I remember,
That's unbelievable. I do like that, like, naturally gifted thing. And I knew that about you because when I first met you, I'm like, I don't know what it was, but I was like, do you know Russian? And you were like, da.
Yeah.
Like, you just naturally learned. He's like, it didn't seem to be that much of a struggle for you.
When I was you ready for this? This is a perfect insight into my brain. When I was in I must have been 10 years old. So I was like probably third grade. We went to church right down the street, St. Mary's. And my dad said, we were at the point where, you take communion and then you pray and you thank God for all, you kind of connect with God. You sit on your knees. And I said my prayers to God, and my dad said, hey buddy, what did you pray for? And I said, I just thank God for all this God-given talent. And my dad was like, what? And I said, I'm blessed with this, like, amazing talent. He goes, talent in what? And I go, name it. Like, I was, by the way, there were so many times if my dad was listening to this right now, he would connect with you immediately. My dad, to this day, would always say, I never had any talent, but I worked really hard. I worked really, really hard. And that's how I got, my dad had a full scholarship at Villanova for track.
Right.
And ran very successfully track throughout college and high school, had a scholarship in high school and in college, but he worked really hard. And he always said, I'm not that talented. I know Dad, right now if I called him, he'd go, I'm not that smart of a guy, but I'm scared of failure. So I work hard.
Yeah.
And I was the kid who, like I caught a fly ball in first grade,
Right.
second base, bases were loaded. I caught it, I spiked it, ripped my shirt off, and started dancing. Whatever that part of my personality is, it's identical to yours in that you can't deny it.
Yeah.
But very few people look at it the way you do and go, "Oh, I need discipline. I need
Regiment.
regiment." Like that's fucking fascinating.
Yeah, and
to
it'll
me.
come. I'll get it. Like I think I'm a smart guy, and I think I'm a capable guy. But it's like, and to be honest, that's the way I came up with, and it works for me. I like being in that. I like having a
comfort
disciplined
zone.
life. It's a comfort zone. Yeah, yeah. But there's something you said to me also when we first met, because I was asking you, because you used to work at the Boston Comedy Club in New York before you moved out here, and you said that you just weren't reaching your potential, and your father kind of said to himself, I wasn't hard enough on you.
Oh.
Or like I didn't do the things that I should have done.
My dad said he failed me as a father.
Yeah.
His exact words, "I failed you as a father."
Yeah, I remember that. I remember you say that those are like, that's like a deep thing. And I don't know what kind of a guy you are emotionally like that, but that's got to have like a massive effect.
That left a dent for a long time. That was like,
well, no, I don't look at it like I was a failure. It's like, you have talent, but I gave things to you too easily.
Yeah.
In terms of like not making you fight for it a little bit.
Oh, 100%. My dad, that one speech, I've said this to my dad a million times. I've probably said this on the podcast a bunch, and I've said it to anyone that ever asked. That one moment of my dad giving me, it was my 26th birthday. I was wanting to do stand up. I had not done anything. I mean, I'd done a couple open mics, but I basically just hang out at the clubs and get drunk off his credit card. I would use his credit card if I ran out of money, and I would just buy drinks. I remember one time I met Tom Rhodes down at the bottom at the McDougal's, not McDougal's, whatever the name of the bar underneath Boston Comedy Club was.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
I forget the name of it right now, but I said, "Tom, tell me anything about stand up," and he goes, "If you buy me beers, I'll tell you." I put my dad's credit card down, and I was like, and that's pretty much how I worked at Barnes & Noble, but I wasn't achieving any dreams. My dad called me on my 26th birthday. I was hungover, and I thought it was like early in the morning. We had no AC, but it was November, so it's not that bad. And I remember thinking, he's just going to say happy birthday. I'll take this call, get it over with, pass out, go back to sleep.
Right.
And he was like, I think his first words were, I'm either you're a fucking loser or I'm embarrassed of you. Like, you're an embarrassment. I failed you. He goes, I just perjured myself in court. He was like, the judge said, "How's your son?" And I said, "Great." He goes, "I lied in court for you." And I was like, I guess I'm not going back to sleep now. But it was one of the best moments.
Right.
It was the best parenting he's ever done for me.
Right.
Because I was a kid who really, I just figured it would all work out. 6.5 years at Florida State, no direction whatsoever.
Right.
Like no idea of what to do. And then Rolling Stone magazine discovers me, calls me the #1 party animal in the country. Oliver Stone options rights to my life. I moved to New York. And I just figured that's how stand-up would work. Is that something would happen?
Right.
It'll work itself out, Dad. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I'll get discovered. And then he was like, "No, you have no humility. You have no work ethic." He goes, "I raised you wrong." He was like, "I didn't want you to struggle the way I struggled. And so I fucked you up. You have no humility." That was my number one thing. My number one takeaway was you have no humility. And I didn't not have humility. I would get embarrassed very easily.
Yeah.
I'm extremely sensitive too. Like you are. I am so fucking sensitive, and I hate it about myself. I wish I could be like everyone else who just does not give a fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, that really comes in handy a lot of times. Like you see people and it's like they don't give a shit. It's like, I'm not that guy, And you have to come to, first of all, you have to acknowledge that that's what it is. Yeah. And then you have to come to peace with it and be like, yeah, it's okay. But you have other abilities. I feel like I have other abilities because of that.
I think one of the things I do is I read into things very quickly. Like if someone says something to me, I read into that immediately.
Yeah.
Like I'm
for the right or the wrong, or in an objective way, or
it's like, when a girl's cheating on you and you're like, I'm pretty sure I'm getting cheated on right now. Yeah. And you're like, my intuition tells me things are off.
Yes.
And I think I do that with life, with everything in life, because I'm so sensitive that I sometimes will read into things that, and then other times I will be oblivious to other people's feelings, because I figure if it's not registering on my radar, then it's not real. And so I'll hurt people's feelings, not realizing I'm doing it. That's why I don't do roast battle. because I say things and people go, man, you're a nice guy. Why the fuck would you say that? And I was like, it's roast battle.
Yeah.
Like,
This is what it is. Yeah.
And they're like, but do you really think if I drive a Civic that I don't get pussy? And I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't fucking know. I was trying to write a joke. I'm not good at this, man.
My father was, he came from a very, an abusive background, and he was in a family business, and he was very much like, it was right in his face that he hated the way he was treated. So he worked very hard not to treat me that way. He worked very hard to like, when I was young, to tell me that I was loved and that I had talent and that I was a winner. So he did those things. I mean,
Holy
as flawed
shit.
as my upbringing was, and there were some flaws in it, especially after I got out of college. We had a lot of back and forth, a lot of tough times. But he laid that foundation when I was young. Like, you're a winner. I fucking love you. You're my son, and you're going to be successful. Like, he would lay that down. He's like, don't be afraid to work hard. Like, work ethic, all that stuff was like.
That's really funny. My dad would say he was proud of me a lot.
Yeah.
My dad always. And
What
then,
about, like, would he kiss you? Like, that's a big thing. Like, a lot of time, my father too. He would like kiss me, and
I had
like,
to kiss my
love
dad every
you.
night when I got home from any night I ever showed up in the house. And he was in bed.
Yeah.
I'd go upstairs and give him a kiss. I think mostly is what you could tell if I was drinking or not.
Yeah.
But that to this, I mean, I still kiss my dad on the cheek. Like, I still kiss my dad on the cheek, and it's so funny because my daughters don't kiss me at all. And it's like fucking. And now with the way that society has gone with like whoa. Like, dude, my dad one time, is gonna hate that I'll say this. When I was in high school, I was in the shower too long, and my dad just got in the shower, and because there was no boundaries with that. He was like, and I was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" He was like, "You're taking too long. I get to fucking work. Get the fuck out." And I was like, "Oh my god!" But I remember I made my dad laugh so hard. I'm super embarrassed saying this, but I don't mind. But as soon as he got in, I tucked my dick between my legs and closed my legs and did that like Silence of the Lamb mangina, and he goes, "Where the fuck's your dick?" My dad, my daughter Isla saw my dad naked on 4th of July, probably like fucking 10 years ago, maybe like 8 years ago. And she goes into my parents' room. We hear a screech, and she walks out. She must have been 6 years old, and she goes, "Don't need to see fireworks tonight." I said, "What?" She goes, "I just saw Papa's vagina." Oh, this podcast is brought to you by Quip, the makers of the Quip electric toothbrush, and they want you to know the one single discovery that matters most for your dental care is Quip. It is simple, this simple. If you have good habits, you're good. That means brushing for 2 minutes twice a day and flossing regularly, no matter what brand you use. Quip makes that simple, starting with an electric toothbrush, refillable floss, and anti-cavity toothpaste that, in my opinion, is the best tasting toothpaste in the market. Quip's electric brush has sensitive sonic vibrations with a built-in timer and 30-second pulses to guide a full and even clean. The Quip floss dispenser comes with pre-marked string, so to help you know when you're using just enough. Plus, Quip delivers fresh brush heads, floss, and toothpaste refills to your door every 3 months with free shipping. So your routine is always right. Join over 3 million healthy mouths and get Quip today, starting at $25. And if you go to getquip.com/Bertcast right now, you'll get your first refill for free. That is your first refill for free at getquip.com/Bertcast. Get Quip. That's GETQUIP.com/Bertcast. Quip, the good habits company. Everywhere is running out of toilet paper. You know who doesn't need toilet paper? Me and people with Tushy. With Tushy, you lose 80% less TP. Break up with your toilet paper. Treat your butt right with Tushy. Wiping your butt with dry toilet paper doesn't remove all the shit, and sometimes it hurts. If you got poop on any other part of your body, would you just wipe it off with dry paper? No. Who the hell would do that? An animal? Water cleans better than dry paper, my friends. Thankfully, there's a new sleek bidet attachment that clips onto your existing toilet and sprays your butt completely clean with fresh water. It is called Tushy, and it's the best thing you can do for your butt. Tushy sprays directly to your ass and removes the poop completely, so you aren't sitting on bacteria that leads to nasty things like hemorrhoids, yeast infections, and UTIs. Itchy assholes, skid marks, they're a thing of the past. Bidets are common in the rest of the world. Bidets save you money on toilet paper. I mean, you still use a little bit just to pat dry, but literally, other than that, you're practically hands-free. You're not going to clog your toilets, and here's the best part. Tushy sprays your ass with fresh water. It's not toilet water. Tushy connects to the water supply behind your toilet to spray your dirty parts with fresh, clean water. It's the same water you brush your teeth with. Now you're putting it on your butt. Wet wipes are worse than toilet paper, and they're terrible for the environment. They cause anal fissures, and you do not want your anus fissuring. It's only $79 right now. Go to hellotushy.com/Bertcast to get 10% off your order. That's hellotushy.com/Bertcast to get 10% off your order. Yeah, but my dad was very he was also very blunt. This is the reason I got into stand-up.
Your dad's a lawyer?
Yeah. What's your dad do?
He worked in a family business. We had a mushroom farm. My grandfather had a mushroom. He
Really?
started as a canning spaghetti sauce, but couldn't make it in that business. So started because ragu was just starting back then. So started canning mushrooms and then built a growing operation next to it. So it was growing and canning mushrooms in Northeast Ohio. Yeah.
That's really fascinating.
Yeah. And they would get into, it was a family business, and they would get into battles. And in 1981, we picked up and moved to Florida because they couldn't get it. My father was like, I'm drinking. Like, I'm not going to be there. I'm going to end up dead. Like, I'm not going to be there for my family because
Really?
my father's driving me into the ground.
And so then your dad moved to Florida and did what?
A series of businesses that failed, sales jobs. It was tough for a while. We didn't have money when we were down there growing
Really?
up. Yeah. But we middle class.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? But scraping by. I could feel the difference. But when we were in Ohio, we had a little bit more money, I could tell. And then we moved to Florida. We was like, but my father made a balls move. He's like, this is the best thing for our family. I have to cut the relationship with my father in order to be a father for my kids. You know what I mean? Like, I can't keep this guy in my life. He's like, he's killing me with negativity and just, he's just all over the place, bipolar. I think my grandfather suffered from bipolar, and it wasn't diagnosed back then. And my father had some of it also, you know what I mean? But he at least had the presence of mind to be like, we got to get out of here. Like, I can't be a father to my kids. I want to be there. I don't want to be working all the time and have to deal with this nonsense. So we moved, and it was really the best thing for our family because he got to spend time with us and really I grew up with a father. The other way, I don't think I would have grown up with a father.
Really? And your brother's older, correct?
Brother's older.
I think I met your brother.
Yeah.
Didn't
Yes, you did.
Yeah,
he was in town, and it was a SDR Skankfest something at a bar, and I introduced you to my brother. I remember that now. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's really interesting that your dad would have that kind of insight. 'Cause I feel like dads like my dad and your dad that weren't really it was almost like my dad's motto in life was eat shit, cash checks. And so the idea that you would put yourself first over anything is so it's such a, especially coming from a dad like his own dad, it seems like such a fucking ballsy move.
Yeah, it was like, this is our, my father did have that thing though. He had a thing, which I wish I had more of, which is work hard and be a good, learn everything you can. But when it's time to move on, do what you have to do for yourself. Don't stay in it. Like when I started stand up, I was teaching in Philadelphia, and my mother was like, you got a good job, everything. And my father was like, nah. I was like, I'm moving to New York. And he's like, good. He's like, move to LA. Don't even move to New York.
Really?
Move to LA and try it out there. Try to get on a sitcom or and of course my father was like, yeah, get on a set, just mill around and see if you can get on something. It's like, yeah, that's good, Dad. I'll just mill around.
When the guard's not looking, you walk through the gate.
It's but he was really yeah, I didn't realize this when I was young. It's stay focused, stay disciplined, but also have balls. Have balls. When it comes time to make a move, don't do anything impulsive. Make sure you analyze it and take stock and do your homework. But when it comes time to make a move, make a fucking move. Have balls. Otherwise, you're going to be caught in a situation where it's people are using you for their dreams. It's you don't want to be in that.
I remember saying to myself, I've always loved a couple days after the breakup when you're still hurting, but you're so I can do anything today.
I had that. I had a huge dose of that. I went through a breakup in my 20s. I was engaged. We were living together.
For real?
Yeah. She just dropped off the face of the earth. Was not interested. It hit me in a just like what you said, it hit me at the
Wait,
deepest
tell me about
possible.
So get me from college. You go to
Went to Penn State.
yeah.
Wrestled for a while. Stopped wrestling. I just didn't come back out my sophomore year. I evaluated it. I was going through it, and I was like, I'm not getting money. If I was getting money, but I wasn't good enough to get money. I really wasn't good enough to get money. I was just in the room working hard, but the amount of work that you had to do to stay in that room was incredible. And the guys who did it, I mean, they were my friends. It's unbelievable. But I came back my sophomore year, and I'm like, this isn't worth it. I'm already in the school. It's not worth it for me to keep going with this. So I decided not to. I decided not to do it. And the coach was like, you worked very hard. You're very, I wasn't a good wrestler, but my work ethic was real good. And that's saying something in that kind of a room. That kind of a room was, we were number 3 in the country that year, Division I. It was like a really very, very tough room. Guys, so talented we had all Americans up and down the lineup. And it was very, very difficult. So I decided my sophomore year, it's like, I'm not going to do this. And I had so much more like energy in my classes. I got a part-time job, like a lot of different things opened up. Met a girl, we start dating, and then she goes to law school in Philadelphia, where she's from, and so I move. After I graduate, I move, and we move in together. And I'm working with.
Where you live in Manayunk?
And I'm living in the art museum area.
Okay, yeah.
So
I know that area. Is that down by the Schuylkill?
It's what by the school. Yeah. Yes.
Because that's when you drive to go to Preston and Steve. Yeah. Okay.
So it's right there. I mean, the rent.
My whole family grew up in Philadelphia.
Oh,
by
yeah?
the way. My whole family. My mom's from Philadelphia, over on the main line by Valley Forge Military.
I got my master's degree from Cabrini College.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Shut up.
So it's right there.
Yeah.
And I worked at a behavioral school right in that area.
Yeah. And my dad went to Villanova.
It's great.
And so all my family is all from there. But more importantly, it's like I've been doing fucking helium forever.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
So you moved down to Philly.
Hopefully someday I'll get in that club.
Wait, you're not doing fucking
helium?
No,
I've been trying to get in there. So hopefully.
Are you serious?
Yeah. I'd like to get in there because it's that's where the town I'm from. The Laugh House is not there anymore. But
just do. Oh, you know what the best fucking room was the Trocadero.
Oh yeah. Philly crowds are good, man.
Philly crowds are fucking
really
amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. So wait, you moved to Philly.
So I moved to Philly with her, and now I'm working with kids with behavioral problems, a place called Glen Mills, and which is now closed. But I start working there 4 to 12 at night, making very low money, and she's finishing law school. We move out to the suburbs. She finishes law school.
Yardley?
I change
Yardley?
jobs.
Where?
Ridley Park.
Okay.
Which is right by the airport.
Yeah.
And my friend actually is the wrestling coach at Ridley Park now.
Oh, really?
Fabry. Go Green Raiders. And so I start working, and I'm making like $8.80 an hour out of college with a college degree, working with kids with behavioral problems who get thrown out of Philadelphia schools. So, but it's a day shift, and she starts a job at a blue chip. She's very smart, blue chip law firm. We, so we're engaged and living together 3 years, and she just checks out of the relationship, completely checks out. Just
checks out emotionally, or
just checks out emotionally. Checks out emotionally. Just checks out emotionally. Like I could feel like, you have that thing where it's like, you have this feeling like, oh, something's not right here. And then it became completely obvious to me. It's like, oh, she doesn't want to be around me anymore. Something changed. And I was like, oh, wow. So I started teaching in Philadelphia. It's Philadelphia School District in the Northeast Philly. And then she was working the job, and it went south very quickly. In like a period of months, the whole relationship just was like pretty much over. You know what I mean? And then, it just hit me in a lot of different places. It hit me. I mean, it was one of the hardest things I ever went through.
Really?
Yeah. It hit me really, really hard because I found out like she was being unfaithful to me. And I asked her several times, I'm like, is this about another guy, whatever? And she was like, no. And I was like, okay, I'll hang in. I just don't, but I could feel that, she just don't want to be around me anymore. So it finally came to a head when the lease was up, and it was like, okay,
Like,
what
so
are we
gonna live together?
what are we
still?
doing? Like, what? I was like in confused, and I had gotten a DUI. Like, I had gotten a DUI, so we used to go out and drink together, and then I had gotten a DUI. So it's like when we would go out, like this affected it a lot because we used to drink and have fun together. When we would go out now, one of us would not have to drink. Somebody would have to drive.
Yeah.
So like that, like really put a damper on things, and that was my fault.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't know from her perspective. She's like, I'm not having this much fun with this guy. It's like, you know, you question things after a relationship. Like, did she ever really love me, or maybe she did, and like maybe there was things I was doing that was like, oh, this is not the right guy. You know, you don't know what's going on in somebody else's head. When they break up with you, it's like they give you the press conference reasons why they're breaking up with you. You don't the real reasons. Like the real reasons could be something like, you're too fat, your dick's not big enough. It could be something hurtful stuff that could never be changed. And it's like, I thought I could get past it, but I can't. But whatever
There's
the reason.
someone listening right now, they're going, oh, I've got the non-press conference one before. And they're going, yeah, that really hurts.
I mean, very rarely does somebody do the non-press conference one because you're already crushing them.
They're already, I mean, I've been broken up. It sucks.
It really, because it hit me in a place where it's like my father always wanted me to be a lawyer. She was a lawyer. She was making great money. She's very pretty, very smart. And
do you follow her on Instagram?
No, I don't do any of that. I don't do any of that because
I have an ex-girlfriend I follow on Instagram, and
this was so many years ago too. You gotta.
Oh, mine was probably
20s.
the exact same amount of years.
Yeah,
and so probably not exact, but yeah, I follow an ex-girlfriend on Instagram, and it's interesting to see, like, it's interesting to know that had we stayed together, that would have never happened, by the way. I mean, just really never would have happened. Just because, like, I wouldn't be where I am today had I stayed with her, and she would not be where she is today. She,
right.
Like, it just would have, was not meant to be.
There's reasons why things happen the way they happen. I really believe
But I do look at her Instagram every now and then and go, oh, so had we in a perfect world stayed together, that's what I'd be doing today. Like, I just think that sometimes. Right. I go, that's so crazy.
Right.
And I go, and I have hung out with her since.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She came to one of my shows. She's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. The people.
By the way, this girl is probably the reason I'm a comedian. No joke. I mean, like, I'll tell you something. But so when the Rolling Stone article came out, I had gotten less than I told you what someone had said to me. I told a friend one time that I wanted to be a comedian, and they said, that's a horrible idea. Don't tell it to anyone.
Right.
You should be embarrassed to think that. You're not funny. I told you who said that.
Yeah.
So it was the morning of the Miami game. Miami, Florida State. And I told that person, you're not smart. Don't ever fucking think you can do this. So, but and by the way, that person, this spiraling out of control. That person was pretty smart, right? The next girlfriend, I'm not saying she wasn't smart, but she didn't look at the world in like I mean this as a compliment, but you got to have a level of kind of non-intelligence to look at Mount Everest and go, I could do that. And this girl had that, like, lack of insight in life, like lack of like awareness of limits that you should be aware of.
Right.
She was so cool, and then she was like, this is like the total difference in girlfriends. She's like, what do you want to do? And I'm like, okay, I've told this to someone before and it didn't go well. I think I'm going to share it with her. I roll over in bed and I go, I think I want to be a comedian. And she just sits up. She goes, you could totally do that. And I was like,
that's great.
For real? She was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
She goes, you're funnier than any of those guys out there. And I was like, you needed that. Like if I had said, I think I want to build rockets and go to Mars, she would have been like, I don't know how to do that, but I bet if you get a couple magazines, you could figure it out.
I love that.
Like, and so that girl was like super responsible for giving me the confidence, and it didn't work out. Obviously, it didn't work out while I was trying to be a comedian. And at one point, I think she was like, I don't think it's going to work out for you, but whatever. But because I was a fuck off. But that you need that every now and then. That just like my buddy Hutch is like that. Like, I told him I wanted to be a comedian, and he was like, oh, you should. You could totally do that, man. You're fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
And you need those friends. And you also need the ones that are like, I don't know if you need the ones that go, you don't have any talent. I wouldn't, I'd hide from everyone. But yeah, like so it's my.
Well, you let the audience tell you too. Like the first couple of years, like I was struggling to be a joke writer, and it's like the first couple of years I was like, oh, I'm not gonna be able to do this for a living. But I have my master's in education. Maybe just public speaking is good. I got nothing else going on. I don't care about failure. I'm by myself. I'm alone. No one cares. So I'll just keep going up.
That's a great
like
feeling.
Who gives a shit? Like I'll just keep going up. I'll keep failing. I'll learn from it, and I'll figure it out. I'm never going to be able to really do this though. I didn't think, But like after year 3.5 years, I started to get consistently funny. And it's like maybe this is doable. Like I didn't see this coming. I just thought it would be like it would help me with public speaking in some capacity.
So when did you hit the turn? When did you hit the turn?
So we go through this breakup, and this breakup is a massive. And looking back on it, it's like at the time you're thinking to yourself, "Oh my God, this is earth shattering, dude. I just got fucking gut punched." But now when I look back on it, it's like everybody's got this story. Yeah. Everybody's got it. If you walk down the street, you ask somebody what was the most heartbreaking relationship, and they'll tell you the exact same story. So it's like nothing personal against her. It's like it just happened. It's just life. You know what I mean? Well, could she have handled it better? Yeah, and I probably could have handled it better too. I probably could have got therapy, and I did. I just was grit my teeth and no, I'm gonna fucking deal with this. But moving in with her, it's really funny how life works. Because moving in with her, if I would have went back to Florida after college, no girl, just went back to Florida. What happened with my father, his father died, and my father was a really great father because his father was right in his face with what he didn't want. But his father died, and after his father died, he almost quickly forgot how much, because they made peace before he died. He quickly forgot how much he hated his childhood, and he kind of became that. So if I would have went back to Florida, my father would have destroyed me. He would have destroyed me. And
how did that happen?
And he wouldn't have meant to. He's like his mental conditioning. He would have destroyed me, and I would have let him out of a sense of, because I had extreme loyalty to my father. So I just would have been like, I have to be a good son and eat shit. And he was locked into a certain mentality at that point, and so was I. So if it wasn't for her, she actually saved me.
It's amazing how you can look at tragedies in your life, and go, thank God that happened.
Yeah, and at the time, it's like there's no way I can see any good in this, but you can't see it from your perspective is too close. You can't see it. But looking back on it, it's like I'm doing what I want to do, and I'm the man that I am because of her. Like she saved me. If I wouldn't have gone to Philadelphia and been able to develop on my own with my own mind and going through the things that you naturally go through, if I would have just went home and tried to be there for my father, he would have just destroyed me. He would have destroyed me, and he wouldn't have meant, he loved me. He wouldn't have meant to do it.
My dad had a period where he was eating diet pills a lot. I would argue, and I think a doctor would probably argue as well, that he was just taking a lot of speed.
Yeah.
But you can't tell that to my dad, because he was like, no, buddy, they're prescribed by a doctor. And we went through a horrifically rough patch where, because he was on these pills, he was predicting your thoughts. So he would jump in front of your sentence, and so he's really difficult to talk to for a period. He was in great shape, and because he was in great shape, my dad's always had issues with weight. Because he was in great shape, he had all the life advice that you needed, and it was in a time of my life where I wasn't succeeding, I wasn't doing anything, I was kind of failing, and we had some of our worst fights I've ever can imagine. Like I remember one, I think of the exact words he said, and I just was like, it was crazy. And it wasn't necessarily my dad.
Yeah.
I believe it was these pills.
Right.
But it was like, and it was crazy, because I kind of had to distance myself from him a little bit and be like, I can't be around him with my family.
Yeah.
There was a lot of things that went on, and there is this kind of push off you have to do as a son sometimes, and maybe sometimes people can't do it. But you have to kind of go I'm my own man. I'm gonna
Right.
I bought a pair of shoes the other day that were this is gonna sound so fucking hoity-toity. I bought a pair of shoes that were $700, right? Now they're sneakers, but they're these limited sneakers, and I really like the look of them. And I'm looking for a shoe to wear on stage, because I don't wear very many clothes on stage.
Right.
So I need something that kind of looks like I dressed up.
Yeah.
So I got these off-white Nike, really nice shoes, but they got delivered to my dad's office for whatever reason. the shipping address was sent to my dad's office, and he got them, and he was like, hey, I got a pair of shoes for you. I said, yeah, and he goes, maybe I'll wear them out. And I said, oh, hey, don't. I go, they're really expensive. I'm not going to wear them anywhere but on stage.
Right.
So they look very nice. And he goes, how expensive is expensive? Like over $100? And I was like, yeah, they're over $100. And he was like, wait, hold on, how much are they? I said, Dad, don't go through them. Just send them to me.
Yeah.
And so then fucking 10 minutes later, I get a call. Fucking 700. Who the fuck spent like really getting into my shit? Not mad at me, but just like, and I go, hey, I make money. Like I can spend money on, like I don't buy a lot of clothes because I don't wear a lot of clothes. So like if I'm gonna buy shoes for stage, like, and then I'm like, why the fuck are we talking about this? I'm a grown up. I have 2 children. Like one's gonna go be in college in a couple. Like why are we talking about this?
Yeah.
And he was like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get in your shit. But it's like, I think that was my relationship with my dad. Is that very like, to this day, if I'm gonna have a steak, I always call him and go, hey, a steakhouse, what do you think about wet age versus dry age? He goes, all right, let me tell you something.
Right.
Like that's the way our relationship goes. I'm gonna be devastated when he dies.
Yeah, it's tough. My father passed in 2015.
Did he really?
It's hard. It's hard to take, but I'll tell you what makes it easier. Nothing left unsaid. If there's nothing left unsaid, you know, there wasn't between me and him. He was like, you know, I love you. There's nothing, you know, there's nothing I haven't said.
How did you?
To you. And I was like, that's it. I watched him the last couple days. I got there. My sister, God bless her, she made it because my mom was like, no, you go do your weekend. I'm sure he'll be fine. My sister got on the phone and goes, nah, come home now. Come home.
How
now.
did he pass?
He had a respiratory illness.
Really?
Yeah, respiratory illness. So it was he was in hospice on the breathing machine, and my mother and my sister, to their credit, just left me alone in the room.
Was he a smoker?
Yeah, he smoked cigarettes for a while, but then quit from like his 40s until, you know, from his at age 40 he quit, but then he started smoking cigars into his 60s, and he was like, he'd smoke a lot of cigars. He was an obsessive guy, eating, smoke, whatever. He would just get on a kick, buying pets. Like he would just like, he was an obsessive. I'm serious. Like my mother went on a trip, came home. They had no pets. They had like 2 dogs and a bird. Like he just like he was an obsessive guy, but like a salesman, charismatic. Like you had to love the guy. You would just fucking love him. My mother was the opposite. My mother was like the anchor. She was like, my mom was slow and steady. You know, she was just like, she was methodic. My father was like, you know, he had that bipolar, like kind of like gene in him. So it was like, but he would buy me. Yeah, we had a cockatoo, like one of those colored birds that just latch onto one person. Anybody else would fight. And we had marble in the house, and the bird, the acoustics of the bird yelling would just reverberate. I'm like, what the fuck are we doing here?
You know, Sebastian had
it's my friend.
Sebastian had one of those too.
Really?
I don't know why. I just find that
they're
I find
attracted to Italians, I guess.
I wonder if that's an Italian thing. Is to have a bird?
No, my father was like that, but it's like he was so charismatic. People loved him. And but my mother and sister left me alone in the room with him at hospice, you know, for basically the last part of his life, the last few hours. And I got to sit with him. I got to pray with him. I got to touch his hair. He had beautiful hair till he died, and kiss him, you know. So it was. You got to appreciate those times, you know?
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Sorry. I'm sorry, man.
No, dude. You know, this is the thing is that
I haven't talked about it in a while.
No, please, dude. I was talking to Bert the other day. I'm gonna get emotional. Bert's not drinking right now, and I go. I said, "Will you ever drink again?" And he goes, "Nah." I said, "Really?" He goes, "I don't need it." And I said, "What about when your dad dies?" He goes, "Oh fuck, you got me." He goes, "Yeah, I don't know." He goes, "I don't know. I don't know. I'll call you when it happens."
I thought I would get hammered, but it happened in such a way where I got that last little time with him, and then at the funeral I was good.
Really?
Yeah, I was good at the funeral. I was like, you know, I think Jordan Peterson has a thing where it's like you want to be the strongest guy at your father's funeral. He's got some really good, meaningful stuff, and you know, I listened to him on Rogan. But I found that to be like, I made my peace. I spent my time. Now this is for everybody else. This is for everybody else coming to pay respects.
So funny. My dad at my grandmother's funeral, I was crying, and my dad came up to me. He was like, "Hey, fucking pull it together." I was like, "What?" And he goes, "Be a fucking man. You got your kids are with you.
Yeah,
you're the fucking father.
Yeah,
we're fucking falling apart. Like, pull it together." I go, I'm sad. He's like, what are you sad about? And I go, I don't know. She's like, she was such a happy person. She just doesn't look happy. Like
Right.
she looks sad. And he goes, are you a fucking idiot? I go, no, why? And he goes, you want her smiling in that box? And I was like, what? He's like, you want her to put a smile in the coffin? You know how fucking creepy that is?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah. So I got up and I was like, I guess that's stupid. I didn't cry. I didn't cry at all. And then I just stopped. And I was like, I don't know if this is healthy or not. But then,
Right. There's somebody telling you. Yeah.
yeah. And then everyone left, and my dad and my uncle, everyone left. It was just me, my dad, and my uncle. My dad and my uncle go, hey, come on. I said, well, where are you going? They go, up to the coffin. I said, why? And they're like, it's time to cry. Everyone's gone. And I was like, in my head, I was like, I'm done. I think I'm done. And then I sat with the two men I respect the most, and I watched them sob crying, and I was like, this is fucked up. Like they just were like, oh
Yeah.
and I was like, what the fuck? I
Yeah.
was so freaked out by it. I was like, and you watched all the traumatic events in their lives where they swallowed it as men,
Right.
like where they said, don't cry, don't cry,
Yeah.
don't cry. You watched all of them come pouring out like
Right.
someone tore down a dam.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh,
You
fuck.
got to have that. I
Yeah.
think you got to have that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to let it out.
Did your brother,
But
did you like,
but the thing was, and like no one else made it before he died. The rest of the family was flying in, and he passed in the night. And when he passed in the night, I was sleeping next to my mother. We got the call like at like 3 a.m, and my mother started crying, and I was like, I'm happy he's gone. I spent that time with him. Like he did a thing where he was dehydrated, so you would wet a washcloth and let him drink from the washcloth.
oh,
And it's like, yeah, I'm glad he's gone.
that's not,
I'm glad he's gone. Like I'm glad he's he shouldn't be like that for an extended period of time, you know? So, but as everybody else was flying in, that's when he passed. But I came in because of my sister. I came in a day early, and I got that time with him. I got that
God,
time
how
with him.
fucking lucky are you?
Yeah. I'm super lucky. Super lucky.
I think about the phone call I'll get when my dad dies. Who's going to call me? Like I think about that a lot.
Yeah. But I mean, it sounds like you have a good relationship with him, but it's like one of those things where it's like, you know, there's some guys who like, I don't tell my dad I love you. We don't believe in that shit. Or it's like, I don't kiss my father. It's like, if there's anything left unsaid, it's too short, man. It's too short of a time not to kiss your father, not to tell your father you love him, and not to say the things that, even if you have to hash it out a little bit. Like there was a time like, we had a tumultuous relationship from college. And basically until he passed, we would just go back and forth and fighting, because I would come home and he would do that thing where it was like he was happy to see me at first, and then it would wear off the next day a little bit, and you know, everything was still fine, but then the tension would build, and we'd get into a huge fight, and then we would fight, and then right before I would leave, we'd make up, and then I would go, and that would repeat itself.
Fuck.
So finally, when I was it took me till I was about 40, I stopped. I would fight him. The reason we had a contentious relationship is because he would start trying to take a piece of me, and I would be like, yeah, I'm not letting anybody take a piece of me. I would fight back, and that would fucking piss him off, because Italians have this thing about, I'm your father, you don't disrespect me. You don't ever disrespect me. And it's like, I'm not a punching bag, dude. You don't just come at me any kind of fucking way. I'm not just going to take everything that you're going to throw at me for no reason. And he couldn't understand that. He's like, that's what my father did to me, and that's the way it is. It's not the way that it is. You fucking hated it when it was done to you. And he couldn't see that part of himself. And
I wonder if that was a way that he mourned the loss of his father.
I think it was, because he really came at me hard. I'm like, I can't believe you're the guy who's doing this now.
Yeah.
You fucking hated it so much when it was done to you. And he couldn't see it. And we had a big blowout when I was 40. He was just like drinking, and he took a piece of me. He was trying to take a piece of me, and I was like, I'm not fucking taking it. And we stopped talking for like a year. And my mother was like, my mother's a soldier. She was like on my father's side, like till the end. And she was like, my mother took his side and was like, you're very disrespectful to your father. I'm like, I'm not talking to either of you. I'm not talking to either of you. And it was just radio silence for like a year. And my family were like, couldn't believe it. I'm like, I'm not fucking taking that. I'm not taking that from you. I'm not a punching bag.
Yeah.
You know? And that's not the way you raised me. Anyway, ironically, you didn't raise that.
Yeah.
So I'm not taking it. And I was disappointed in him because he never apologized for it. We got together at a bar one night in Youngstown, in Ohio, where we're from, and he's like, "I'm not going to apologize."
What were you guys doing back in Youngstown?
I can't remember what it was for.
They stayed in Florida, right?
Yeah. They were in Florida, but we got together in Youngstown, and we were having a drink, and he's like, we can start talking again if you want, Mike, and I can guarantee that that's not gonna, the kind of fights that we have not going to happen again. But I'm your father, and he repeated the respect thing, and I was like, all right, I guess this is what I'm gonna get. I don't want to not talk to you for the rest of my life. But I was just, in my heart, I was disappointed that he couldn't see that about himself and apologize to me, because he was wrong. He was wrong to what he did. And but he was like, we can go back to just talking again if you would agree to that. And I'm like, okay, if that's what I'm gonna get, that's what I'm gonna get. I'm fine with that. And he goes, but let me tell you something. He's like, and this really hit home for me. He said, if you would have had my life, you would be dead, in jail, or in a gutter right now. And I know what kind of background he came from. So I was like, you're probably right. With my sensitivity, being, beaten by watching your mother get beat, growing up that way, I would have been massively fucked up.
It's kind of like
I had compassion. It wasn't an apology, but he told me that, and I immediately had compassion for him.
He basically said, listen, you don't have it as bad as I had it.
Right.
And I'm not giving it as bad as I got it.
Right.
So please understand that this is the best I can do.
That's what it is. You just said it. It's like he wasn't apologizing, but he's like, it's not, it doesn't seem like it's enough for you, but I'm playing outside of my fucking head right now. Yeah. As far as at a high level.
I understand that this isn't enough for you, but you have no idea how fucking vulnerable this hurts.
Yeah, he's like, I should be. And my mother, to her credit, he was suffering for 2 years with this respiratory illness, and my mother kept him alive. The doctor even said to my mother, who's a family doctor that we've known forever, he's like, you kept him alive. You kept him alive for 2 years. My mother had his medication regimented, would have him count out the pills. It was unbelievable.
What was the respiratory disease? Was it COPD?
He smoked so many cigars that he ripped the lining. He ripped the lining of his esophagus out in his lungs.
Shit.
Yeah, so the lining was ripped up.
How are you with cigars, cigarettes, marijuana, booze?
I'm not. I used to binge drink. You know, I used to love to go out. I did Tony and Tina's wedding in South Philadelphia for a couple of years. I'm not bragging. But I did it, and I used to love to go out with the cast and just get hammered.
Yeah,
I would love to just go get hammered, and with girls too. That was a big thing with hanging out with girls, where we just go get banged up and drunk, and I liked so much fun. Into my 30s, when I moved to New York, especially, I'm like, you don't have to drive, subways everywhere, cabs. I would get hammered, but I wouldn't do it 3 nights in a row. Right? I couldn't do that. I know guys who were like that. I just couldn't do that. So I would binge for a weekend and then go back to my life and keep it clean for a week. But then the weekend would come and I would do it again. So alcohol was the biggest thing. Cigar once in a while, but I don't have that.
Did you smoke cigars with your dad?
Yeah,
I did. I still smoke cigars with my dad. They're that's
which is like hanging out with the guy that killed him.
Yeah.
Cigars. It's like, hey, let's hang out with the guy who murdered your father.
Question: which of my online searches does the government have the right to know about it? Is it A, quicksand porn? Is it B, tentacle porn? Is it D, stop motion porn?
What happened to C? You said A, B, D.
The answer is none of them, Leanne. If you have ExpressVPN, you don't have to worry about any of that. Without ExpressVPN's protection, hackers, governments, ad companies, ISPs all have full access to your data. I don't want them to use my web history or my video searches against me. That's why I use ExpressVPN every time I go online. ExpressVPN encrypts and reroutes your web traffic to any number of countries, keeping you safer and secure. Simply download the ExpressVPN app, click connect, and boom, you're protected. With ExpressVPN, you can also make it seem like you're browsing from a different country, so you can watch anything in the Netflix library in the world that you want. How cool is that? ExpressVPN is the fastest VPN I have tried, and it costs less than $7 per month and comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. It is time to stop governments and internet companies from keeping tabs on your data. Take back your online privacy like I did. with ExpressVPN. Protect your online activity today and find out how you can get 3 months for free at expressvpn.com/Bert. That is ExpressVPN, ExpressVPN.com/Bert for 3 months free with a 1-year package. Visit expressvpn.com/Bert to learn more. Let's talk about finding freelance talent for your business or project. There's no better time right now than to hire someone in the freelance field. Everyone's at home and then they can all do the work you need. But finding the right freelancer can be time-consuming, frustrating, and expensive. Where do you go to find that talent? How much is it going to cost? How can you be certain they're going to deliver? Thanks to Fiverr, finding the right freelancer doesn't have to be a struggle. I know for a fact my biggest problem right now is finding editors, finding people who can do pictures, what was the thing we're looking for posters the other day, Leanne?
I don't know.
Graphic artists.
Yeah.
Fiverr's marketplace helps you get done more with less. Fiverr connects businesses with freelancers who offer hundreds of digital services, including graphic design, copywriting, web programming, and film editing, and more. Find what you're looking for instantly. Search by service, deadline, price, reviews, and more. You know exactly what you're paying for upfront. No negotiations needed, and they've got 24/7 customer service. Quality talent that you can count on. The sellers have worked with some of the most influential brands in the world, and finding talent for your project right now has never been easier. You can go through reviewers' sellers ratings, buyer feedback, and select the right freelancer based on your budget. Take 5 and check out Fiverr. That's FIVERR.com, and you'll receive 10% off your first order by using my code Bertcast. It's so easy. Don't waste any more time and get the service you deserve by going to Fiverr. That's FIVERR.com. Code Bertcast. Fiverr. It starts here. By the way, I'm never gonna laugh as hard as you going. You saying, my dad was, with food, with cigars, he'd buy lots of pets. That's fucking the funniest line.
But he was like, and he would overeat, like everything, it's like, he didn't have a drug problem because like when he came up, like it wasn't a thing, to be, I guess it could have been a thing, but he was like, it's just other things like you can abuse the shit out. People do it all the time. You can abuse food, and he did that. He had to get one of the gastric bypass surgeries, and
did your brother? How was your brother's relationship with your dad?
It's good, but my brother was like a non-confrontational guy.
Oh, really?
So yeah. My brother, he had his struggles too, but and I don't want to get inside of his head or speak for him, but he was more of a my brother would just kind of like not respond to it.
I'd love to be that.
But my father did this weird thing where it's like, with me anyway, if he didn't respond to it, he would just go in harder. And I had too much like, and I was a non-confrontational guy.
I don't like confrontation at all.
Yeah, I was a non-confrontational guy. I didn't want to do it, but he would back you into a corner where I felt like I had no choice. Yeah. So I would come at him, and then it would blow completely up. But at least if it would blow up, then it would be like, okay, we wouldn't talk. Then it's just quiet. It would just stop him from like trying to take a piece of me. And then his family would, like my mother and his sisters would be like, he loves you. It's just that this is the way he shows he loves you. I'm like, at that point, I'm like, I don't give a fuck what it is. To the point where I went home one time for like a spring break or something, and we got into a huge fight. And my sister was like, stop coming home. I don't know what you're doing. Stop coming home.
My sister said that to me one time.
I told my father, I'm like, I can't stay here anymore. I'll get a hotel.
Yeah.
I'll get a hotel. And he's like, come on, Mike, don't do this. We got to go through this. I'm like, we don't have to go through any of this. This is all in your fucking head. What are you doing? You're going to kill me. I don't understand why we can't have a loving, normal relationship. Yeah. Why it's got to be like this confrontational thing. I could never understand that. But it's his, like now that I have perspective, it's like, it was his mental conditioning. It's how he thought that you should express love.
Yeah.
Now that's not an excuse for like somebody to take it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Do you wonder if in relationships with women, if you seek out that kind of love, like if you like,
yeah, I've often wondered that,
because I have found people like my father. And by the way, my father and my relationship now is really good, but there were periods of times where my sister said to me, I remember one of them going, hey, do you think dad likes you? Like, and I was like, I don't know. Sometimes they go, you seem to really aggravate him. Like you get really under the skin. By the way, and I would say with my dad, any of the problems I had with my dad, it was less about his conditioning and more about him watching a man that he helped create that was very different integrally from the way he was.
Right.
Like everything's a joke. Everything's fucking yuck. Not very serious. Doesn't take anything serious. And my dad's one big thing was he always foresaw tragedy around the corner with everything. Still to this day, very much so. And I didn't. And I now sadly I've inherited that, which really sucks. And that was where our hiccups were laying a lot, was like, you know, and I think it was a lot of the times when he was taking those weight loss pills was the majority of our problems was then. But I found that I found people in my life, or I'd find people like one of my first managers, you know, it was the relationship was less manager client. It was more like me and my dad all over again.
Right.
And I was like, looking for his approval.
Right,
and
right.
me getting rid of him was the first step of me growing up and going like, because my dad loved him. My dad thought he was great. My uncle flew out. My dad both flew out to New York to meet him, and kind of, and the only takeaway they had was he wore a hockey jersey to dinner. Like, what kind of man wears a hockey jersey to dinner? He didn't have a suit, and I was like, I don't know. It's Hollywood. And but me leaving that manager, my dad was like, I don't know, buddy. And I was like, no, this is what and that was like me making my own decisions.
Right.
But yeah, I don't. I found that I would reach out I would find people that was basically my dad.
Yeah. You try to recreate that.
Yeah.
That happens. That does happen, and that's like a
a
blind spot where it's like I go to therapy, and it's like
you in therapy.
Yeah. I got to go, and it's a blind spot where it's like somebody on the outside in an objective way can help you see that, and you're like, oh yeah, I am unconsciously doing that.
And then I would get into arguments. Like I'd say to my wife, I'd bring up something about an issue that my dad and I were having, and my wife would jump on my side immediately and tell me what was wrong with my dad, and then I would flip it and start defending my dad.
That's great.
She would do that. By the way, she did that with my first manager. I'd be like, God damn it, he doesn't call me. And she's like, yeah, he doesn't respect your stand-up. And I'm like, hold on. I was like, you don't fucking know the guy. She's like, well, I'm just saying, like, he doesn't think you're a funny comic. I promise you. He didn't put you on the fucking, whatchamacallit, showcase he did. And I was like, what? She's like, yeah, it seems like he just really focuses on this one guy, and kind of like anything good you do, he kind of shovels his way. I'm like, hold the fucking phone. Like, whose fucking team are you on? She's like, I'm on your team. You started this. God damn it.
Yeah.
What comics did you like when you started? Like when you started?
Attell was
Attell's everyone's.
Everybody's favorite. And yeah, he's fantastic. When I started,
were you doing was the Laugh House the Black Club?
Yeah.
And
so that worked to my advantage in a way, in terms of like helping me stand in it a little bit, learn to stand in it. Because if black crowds don't like you, they really let you know they don't like you. So, but it
when's wokeness going to catch that? Where they go, hold on, black audiences are just like any other audience, and then we get to go, no, they're not. Not even remotely.
But if they like you, like you,
if they like you, they love you.
They love you. And if they don't, if you're not resonating with them, they really let you know. So it's like, I didn't like the whole. I tried to base myself on joke writing, kind of a thing where it's because I had stage fright. So I'm like, oh, I don't want to make myself that vulnerable, because you're opening yourself up to rejection. So let me put all my mental effort into writing bulletproof jokes that are guaranteed to succeed. So it was a kind of it's a weird thing, because
what was your first
I
joke
enjoyed
that
good
worked?
jokes, but it was a mechanism for avoiding stage fright. And I still battle with that now, like where it's like, you know, a crowd is sitting there, and I just went through it. Like I'll be on the road sometimes, and it's like you hit them with the joke, you go up, you introduce yourself, and I'm more engaging because I have more of a skill set now. But it's like they're going joke to joke with you instead of just like buying in. So at some point, I'll just be, can you guys, I'm here for you. Like, I want us all to have a good time. What are we doing, dude? Like, you're looking at me, the guys are looking at me like, you're not better than me. And the girls are, getting like a little offended by some of the premises. Even it's like, or like, who are you? Looking at me like, who are you? Like, and it's like, come on, can you just like, the whole goal is to have a good time here. So give me the benefit of the doubt a little bit, and not like because you have a feeling up there. I have a feeling like, oh, you're trying to put me on the spot up here, and it's like, not that I can't stay in that and work it, but it shouldn't be this difficult. Like, it shouldn't be this difficult. You know what I mean? Like, everything's in place. Like, let's just have a good time together. But you're not giving me good time energy. You're giving me TED Talk energy. You're giving me like, all right, that was a good one. What's the next one? It's like, come on, dude.
It's interesting because my that energy, everyone gets it when you're doing clubs. So going into a club and you're selling tickets off of radio or press that you do, and no one's there. Like, you have a small group of fans, but then you get a bunch of people that don't know who you are and they got their arms folded.
Right.
And
can I say those are the people who are going out for a date night. Yeah. They're not comedy fans.
No, they're not comedy
They're people
fans.
who are like, okay, we could go bowling. We can go see this guy.
Do you guys want to go do comedy? Great, I got 8 tickets. And everyone's like, who is it? And they're like, doesn't matter.
Right.
And you're like, oh,
maybe they saw you on a YouTube clip, but mostly they're just going out. They don't know you. But it's like, there's a thing where it's like, and I find like I was in Atlantic City, and I was in Atlantic City, and it's like these older crowds where you would think, oh man, these guys are going to be like, they're really old. But I would just go up there and just be murdering, because they would just, once you got past your first little like jokes about who you are, they just would buy in. And then the rest of it would just be murder. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so great.
Yeah.
I wish it was like this all the time. But then I find with some of the younger crowds, it's like, they're like, okay, what's next? It's like, I don't know what I have to. I mean, I'm experienced enough where I can stay in the pocket and just keep working them. But a part of me goes, why do I got to why do I got to do that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I maybe that comes with, and not maybe, I'm sure it comes with having a following. You know what I mean? Like, having a following, it's like, Seinfeld had a thing, like, it's like, they give you the benefit of the doubt, but they're there to see you, and that's a different vibe than it is.
Seinfeld is a tad bit inaccurate, because I remember what he said is, if you're famous, they give you the benefit of the doubt. That'll get you like 2 minutes, but then you got to bring the funny. Whatever.
Yeah, but I think that's in a thing where it's like a club show where they're not there to see. When they come out to see you,
that's what my statement is. If they're coming to see you, you get the benefit of the doubt for an hour and 30 minutes.
Right.
I mean, to a fault. At times, you'll go and. I was just talking to Joe about this this weekend. I had a very great conversation with Joe about what I'm doing wrong, and like it's great when you have friends that can see, perspective wise, see what you're doing wrong,
right?
And are beyond you at a point where they go, oh, let me get you back on track.
That's great.
There's a girl, Taylor Tomlinson was talking about a girl that gave her perspective, and I was like, those are so fucking important for someone to go, oh, I know what you're going for, but you're shifting off a little bit.
Right.
And we were saying that sometimes when you do like theaters filled with your fans, you can get away with shortcuts that do not cut the meat in like a paid audience where they don't know who you are.
Right.
Or maybe know who you are, but they're not a fan.
Right.
And I found that out very quickly at the Improv the other night, of like people that all knew who I were.
Right.
They were all there to see Joe. And man, my first set went horrible, like really horrible. And that hasn't happened in a long time for me, where I was like silent at some points, like dropping punchlines, and it just did not go over. And I was like, wow, I wonder if I'm resting a lot on the fact that you have to know me.
Yeah. And
you're like, wow. So then the next set, I just skinnied up everything,
right,
and was like, and had a much better set, but it was like, there was a joke, and Joe's like, yeah, get rid of this joke, man. Like, it's not, it makes you sound unlikable. It makes it sound like you don't love your wife. Well, if you come to my show and you see me in like a theater, you're like, I'm there to see Bert.
Right.
If Bert says something shitty about his wife, we all listen to the podcast.
That's a good
we know
point.
how much you love him.
Yeah.
But if I don't know you or your wife, you just sound like a guy who's ungrateful.
Yeah.
And that was really fucking eye-opening to me. I was like, oh, that cut corner.
Right.
I need to, if I'm going to do that, I need to make it clear for everyone.
Right.
So, but yeah, I mean, what are you?
There's something about, and I hope you know what I'm talking about here, where it's like, I think you will. It's okay. It's a tough crowd, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna, because now I don't get mad at them. I take the attitude of like, I wait till after. I get frustrated after, but when I'm on stage, I go, let me get them. Let me keep working them.
Mhm.
Let me keep working them. But it's like, it's a thing where it's like the thing when I first saw you. It's like you stay in the pocket, but you get them on your terms. You maintain your integrity, because a lot of guys can get them by pandering. Or do you ever have somebody who's like a drunk woman in the crowd and they try to hijack the show?
Yeah.
Now you could just play into her hands and pass the time, do it like a penalty kill and just make her happy. But why the fuck should she hijack the show?
Yeah.
So it's like, shut her down any way you can. And even if you have to be abrupt, like, look, stop, because the crowd's not on your side. That's a tough thing to do. It's like,
Yeah.
look, stop. And then go on with trying to earn it. It's a very tough spot to be
Well,
in,
you know what I
because
always
you're trying
did?
to maintain your integrity. You're not pandering to them, but I'm going to maintain my integrity and I'm going to bring you in on my terms.
You know what I
not
used
on
to
your
do?
terms, because you don't know comedy, obviously. You know, and I'm not saying that in a condescending like way. It's like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to lead you. Like,
Yeah.
you guys don't know, but I'm going to. This is funny. You can. This will be digestible, but I'm going to lead you through this.
You
So I'm
know
not going to pander. I want you in, but I want you in on my terms.
Yeah. I used to do, and I still do. I don't do it as much now, but like, because it's a little different. But I used to do something. It's an old David Attell trick. Is if I had a drunk person in the audience who wanted to be a part of the show, I would ask them the setup to my jokes, asking them for a punchline,
Right.
and then they'd say their punchline, and I'd say mine, which was 10 times better.
Right.
So I remember one of the. By the way, I wish these were higher brow setups, but what's the best way to go down on a chick? And you hear the guy, and the guy would give his fucking real quick knee jerk answer.
Right.
And then I would have mine and go, oh, that's different. I don't do that the same way. I put my lips around her entirely and go, oh, and I go, that's so crazy. And so you get a big laugh because you knew you had a joke there.
Right.
And then I go, wait, when you go out with a girl, like, and I would do it. I watched Attell do it one night brilliantly. Like, but his jokes are so much better.
Yeah.
So
his
much
jokes
better
are
that like he would ask someone the setup to his joke, and then they would reply, and then he would go, oh, that's interesting because ... wham, and you'd be like, what the fuck? And then inevitably Attell will go, you see how this works? I've prepared for this evening.
Yeah.
You haven't.
Yeah,
Let
yeah.
me take care of this.
Yeah.
Like Attell's a fucking genius, man.
Genius.
He's
Genius.
a legit genius.
Yeah.
He's
Oh,
one of
right.
my favorite. He might be my favorite comic. Like to
Yeah.
watch.
Because I've been with him on the road, and I've opened for him and had good sets and come off patting myself on the back, feeling pretty good about myself. I'm like, I'm a pretty good comic, dude. This is working out for me. I have a lot of bright things in my future. And then he goes up and just annihilates on another level that I've
Oh.
never seen before. Like, people, like, I'm getting laughs. People watching him can't catch their breath. They can't catch their breath. It's like the way Manny Pacquiao used to fight, where it's like he'll hit you with 3 shots, turn you, 3 more shots, turn you, 2 more shots, and then the exchange is over, and then he resets. And it's like, what? You're throwing like I'm throwing like one punch,
Yeah.
1 punch, 2 punches at a time. He's like 1, 2, 3, turn, 1, 2, 3, and then and the shots are harder than anything that you're throwing.
He
And
says
it's like,
he
it's
says
unbelievable.
things, if I'm lucky, if I have a set where I say one thing that belongs on a t-shirt, he says things that belong on a tombstone. Like where I go, put that. That's what anytime you say this, to this day, the one thing that lines he's had where I literally stop it and rewind it when he says, I want the kind of woman who drinks Jack and Diet Coke. You know, the kind of woman that goes out and yells the N-word at a lunar eclipse. just like, oh, he's just so fucking.
Yeah.
I think it was like an eclipse, but anyway, like he's just so fucking smart.
Yeah.
In what's it?
And he's fast on his. I mean, he's got all the intangibles. Like, he's a great writer, but he's like very fast on his feet. Like, anything you throw, he can jiu-jitsu.
Big J said one time, Dave was driving out to see his mom a lot. I guess, I don't know. I'm not certain. I'm going to say names of cities, but they're not accurate. I'm just telling you. I'm translating the story. So maybe Dave's mom lives in Levittown. Let's just say Levittown. I
Right.
don't know where she lives, by the way. And my dad grew up in Levittown. That's why I'm using Levittown. And Big J was driving out, and he was back and forth. So Big J does a gig out in at Governor's, which is in Levittown.
Right.
And by the way, it's not Levittown. I'm just using this as an example. And he's been watching Dave work out all week, knowing Dave's been driving back and forth. And the drive out, he saw like 9 Attell punchlines just on road signs and like like signage on the street, and he's like, he's been driving just writing jokes, just like, like an Asian hand job for $4.99, full body. I bet they say full body. Like he's seeing setup and punchlines on the drive. That's how fucking brilliant he was.
It's Usual Suspects.
Yeah, it's the Usual Suspects.
It's Kaiser Sose. He's looking at the bulletin board.
Oh,
yeah.
I'll tell you what, man. The one thing I look at, this is what I've been talking a little ad nauseum about this, but like the one thing I've been trying to do lately is I always try to like better myself with every special, like do something different, get out of my comfort zone and see if I can tackle another angle.
Right.
I've never been great with setup punches. I'll get 2 or 3 good ones in an hour, like legit, maybe 2 or 3 good ones. But what'll happen is I'll write them and then I've got to fucking shoehorn them into my story.
Right.
But this new hour, I'm trying to work. I'm like this. I know this sounds so silly, especially for a New York comic to say this to a New York comic, but like I'm really trying to work on act outs a lot more because I've been watching when guys do an act out, and like Attell's no act outs whatsoever. But like the littlest action just can floor me sometimes.
Right.
I watched Sebastian the other night.
Yeah.
And just the way he said something, and I'm like, and it's not, I'm just like, why am I not adding that to my rep? What am I afraid of? Am I afraid I'll be bad at it? Well, then I'll work on it. I'll see if I can get better.
Right.
But joke writing is like, I've never been, all my good jokes that I've ever written are all kind of like ripped off of the way Attell writes jokes. You know what cops hate? When you touch their faces. Like.
But do you ever have that thing where it's like, oh, because I have the mindset is if I adjust my practice, then the result will change.
What do you mean?
So it's like my first album is like I'm mostly a joke guy. It's a lot of jokes. So, but I'm like, okay, what's my connection? I have the other thing where it's like I have jokes, but it's like, what's my emotional connection to these jokes? Like people will relate much better if there's an emotional connection there. So it's like, oh, my next thing I do, like let me try to like. Instead of like, oh, I need some marriage jokes, I need some gambling jokes, instead of like I need these jokes, it's like instead of that, it's like start journaling a little bit, and then it's like, oh, because there's stuff that happens every single day that if you don't examine it, it will go to waste. But it's like you have the ability to write jokes, like, so if you journal, you'll have like the scaffolding, you'll have the information there, and then you can turn the organic things that are happening to you into jokes.
Are you talking about Megabus?
Yeah, Megabus
is a story.
Yeah. Yes, it's a story. It's a story
it's
like
fucking brilliant.
Thank you.
And it's such a brilliant, like, it's this, it's like sometimes with comics enjoying comedy, it's the simple things where we go, I was right there. Like, God damn it, man, that's so good. It's not complicated. You don't have to like Stanhope has a joke that is, I can't even do it justice. I would never be able to do it justice right now saying it. And even bringing up the premise, I couldn't do it justice. But it's a premise people have veered away from because it has been at times a tired premise. But Stanhope leaned into it. And he does it so masterfully that you're like that it turns into one of the most epic jokes you've ever fucking heard. And I don't even know what I'm saying about this, but it's like I look at stuff like that where I go, and you did that with Megabus. It's like that one. I don't know why I keep going back to that one joke. The whole album is amazing, but that Megabus joke had me fucking rolling, like crying. It's so. How did you?
Well, my car got stolen in Queens.
Yeah.
So I started. It depends how you look at things too. It's like I always was like, I had to work through this in therapy too, like running uphill guy. Like everything's a problem. I got this to do today. I got this to do today. It's like, and my therapist was like, what a terrible way to look at the world. No wonder you're exhausted all the time. It's like you can't look at things that way. How about getting up in the morning, and go, I'm doing this. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to tackle this. It's like have that kind of approach. And that's been my problem all through my life, even with wrestling. It's like, oh, I got to cut weight. Oh, I got to rest. One time I would like to be like, I'm going to go tear this kid up. Like I never had that mentality.
Yeah.
So my car got stolen in Queens, cut to my car getting stolen. I go there, it's not there. And I go through all this stuff with the cops and whatever. And they're not being helpful. They don't show up for a couple hours. They're not helpful. And never find it until 8 months later. It's burned out and stripped. And now I have no car. It's like, oh, this could seem like a terrible situation, but it's like, there's, it hits you sometimes like there's jokes here. There's a ton of jokes here. So the worst experience is like, there's a ton of stuff that can come out of this. And I ended up like taking it and then molding it and then doing it on the Tonight Show. And I'm like, all from the stolen car is like a thing that's could be judged as a terrible thing, but I turned it and put it on the Tonight Show. So it's like, you can take stuff like that and manipulate it to work for you. And this is I'm saying this as a guy who's always like, I got to do this, like looking at the negative.
Yeah.
So there's a way to do it. And I figure if you take that mindset into situations, you can turn them for the better. And good guys really do that.
It's so funny. I'm never good at that. Like I'm always good at, my wife will be like, hey, there's a joke happening right here.
Right.
Or she'll point it out and I'm like, oh yeah. Sadly, my brain is like, I'm so self-centered that it's kind of bizarre, but like I think about myself so much and like my interactions with other people and how I'm like that. I feel like lately it's taken other people to go, hey, you doing that thing the thing you told at dinner the other night? You doing that as a bit? And then I go, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like I feel like,
but that's why I'm saying like the practice, because of like I was missing a lot too. And like journaling helps if I got to
journal. I'm going to journal.
And then writing the notes on your phone, like when it hits you, it's like there's something here.
Here, I'll tell you.
I don't even know what it is, but
what
there's
I have
something
written
here
on my phone. Yeah. Tell me if you can help me turn this into a joke. This is something my wife said that I could not stop laughing at. She wasn't trying to be funny, and we were driving over the hill yesterday, and there was a guy. You know those ladders that have like they're like 4 different things you can do with it. You can turn it into a ladder. You can do it to a scaffolding. You can. It's like a ladder.
Swiss Army.
It's a Swiss Army ladder.
Yeah.
This is gonna sound horrible. There was a Hasidic Jewish person with like the whole getup, right? Like the fuzzy hat, the locks, the holsters, like the whole outfit.
Right.
And he had protective goggles and the longest saw I've ever seen in my life. And he's going to get on the thing, and as soon as he's got it made of scaffold, as soon as he steps on the scaffold, it collapses. He throws his arms out and lands flat on his side. He ate shit so hard through the fucking thing, and my wife could not stop laughing. And I said, and this is just the base of it. And I said, "What?" I go, "Hey, that guy got really fucking hurt." And she goes, "Oh, honey, there's something you need to know about me. I can't stop laughing when I watch people fall." And I said, "Really?" She goes, "I had a training video when I worked at Lowry's, and it was about people falling." She goes, "I laughed through the whole fucking thing." And Isla just peeps out of the back. She goes, "I love watching people fall too." And the fact that these two women love watching people fall, I go, there's something there. I got to find the thing there.
I think I have it.
Okay.
Your wife is watching the Jewish guy has just fallen, right? And she goes, "Oh, honey, there's something you should know about me. I'm Muslim." That's why I enjoyed it.
I like watching
I'm a Palestinian.
Jews fall.
Yeah. I'm anti-Semitic, something like that. Either one of those. And that's how I found out my wife was a member of the Nazi party.
Yeah, I've been trying to. The joke I wrote today. I'm all about planting a seed for a joke and letting it pay off like 5 months from now. Like I'll give you.
But do you like check in on it? Is that a thing you do?
I'll give you a perfect example. 5 years ago, I wrote a Yelp review. Okay, I had a really great BLT. I was with some friends, and I could not shut up how good this BLT was. It's an Old Hamlin restaurant in Michigan, and they're like, "Write a fucking Yelp review, why don't you?" And so I wrote a very intense Yelp review, like a fucking very, very intense Yelp review. And the joke was for no one. And I thought, I hope one day it pays off. Like hopefully one day I'll be successful and someone will find it and go, "Holy shit, this was 5 years ago. Bert wrote a fucking extremely aggressive Yelp review about a BLT he had." Well, 3 weeks ago, Bert and I are doing a podcast, and he says, "Who the fuck writes Yelp reviews?" And then I go, "I do." And he's like, you write Yelp reviews? And I go, I have. And he was like, no fucking way. I go, yeah, I'll see if I can find one. So I find that Yelp review and I send it to him. This is fucking, it's like a joke that you plant 5 years ago.
Yeah.
It's almost like leaving like a time machine in your front yard and then digging it up. And it's all just jokes. And he read it and he goes, this is the funniest thing I've ever fucking read in my life. And it's 10 times funnier knowing that you didn't write this for anyone. You wrote this for yourself in a fuck, just going like a perfect example. This is a long time ago. My wife and I we lived in an apartment, and she had tape on the counter on the table, and I was cutting my toenails, and I had a pile of toenails, and I was like, oh fuck. So I just grabbed the tape, and I took the tape, and I taped them underneath the table. And I thought, one day I won't remember that I've done this.
Right.
My wife will find this. She'll say something to me, and I'll laugh, and I won't be able to stop laughing because I'll remember I did this as a joke for myself in the future. And
my God.
So I taped them on a thing. So then we're moving apartments. Maybe like 2 years later, we're moving apartments. She lifts up the table, and as she does, I think about them, and she goes, what the now I get to experience her go, what the fuck is this? And I go, I couldn't stop laughing. And she was like, hold on, this isn't fucking funny. Why would you tape like those things?
Now that's where you bring it back. But a Jew falling is?
Yeah, but if I fell and did that, then all of a sudden there's a fucking joke in there. But like I love, like sometimes I'll
That's really, I mean, a lot of thought, man. That's
From 2013.
What's this?
So you're joining Yelp.
Oh, is this Frank and Nick's? Yeah, I do. This is a bad review. Okay, so this, I got to apologize to Frank and Nick. Frank and Nick's West End Grill in Baltimore. That was a case of me being drunk, and so I this was a dick move, and this is why I don't write negative Yelp reviews. I went in, I said to the bartender, I said, hey man, what's good? And he goes, I don't know. I go, well, like what do you recommend? And he goes, why don't you look at the menu? And I was like, okay. So I look at the menu and I go, how's the turkey sandwich? And he goes, fine, it's a turkey sandwich. And I was like, all right, I guess I'll have the turkey sandwich. And then I got the turkey sandwich, and it was clear that there was no love had gone into it. It was
right.
it was like the most bland, horrible turkey sandwich I'd ever had in my life. I ordered a beer from the guy, and I was like, I don't want to tip, but I go, I can't not tip.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna let everyone. I'm gonna tip. I'm gonna say my piece on Yelp. So I wrote. I don't. Can you read the review?
No. There's a whole Reddit of your reviews, though.
Oh, good. So
But you were drunk at the time?
I was drunk, and I
Okay.
wrote a nasty review of
Okay.
Frank and Nick's, of Heidi and Frank's, whatever. Not Heidi and Frank's, but. So then I go on Rogan, and Rogan's like, they're talking about Yelp, and I go, oh, dude, I just Yelped this one fucking place, Heidi and Nick's, and he was like, what happened? I said exactly what I just said. The guy was a fucking asshole, and the place sucks. Fuck that place, and fuck them, dude. I'm a customer. I should have come in. The fucking owner is like direct messages me. He's like, bro, I'm a fucking fan of yours. Like, why wouldn't you share this with us there? Why wouldn't you ask for a manager? That's not the way to do it. Is you ask for a manager. Don't blow me up online.
Right.
He's like, I have my money invested in this.
Yeah.
Like, don't be a man and come up and say, hey man, your
Right.
bartender sucks. He goes, by the way, I fired that guy. He is a dick. I wish you had told me, and then I could have known that. And then I was like, I'm sorry. He's like, dude, you've costed me, like, people are hitting me up. They're destroying my Yelp. Like, my Yelp reviews are down low. Like, he's like, man, please.
Yeah, you forget what kind of platform
You forget that you.
Yeah.
We talked about this right when we got on here.
Yeah.
You forget that you say
It's a huge
someone's
platform,
fucking
yeah.
name, or you do some shit like that, and people go, that affects their lives.
Yes.
I mean,
I'm all for that, by the way. Not effective, but like having that conversation in private and like dealing with it on the spot, and not doing it online, or
I'll tell you,
or even if you're not thinking about it, like, yeah, it's better to do on the spot, man.
I had a friend who was going through some shit, and I ended up talking about it, and he just called me. He's like, hey man, why didn't you just say nothing? Like, why did you have to say it at all? And I was
Yeah.
like, I don't know. He was like, well, you can also not say anything.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, I guess you're right.
Right.
But in this day and age where you're like, where you feel like you have a voice, and anything that happens, like the fucking Logan Paul versus Chris D'Elia, like I'm friends with D'Elia, right? And so I
Right.
immediately pick D'Elia's side, and I make fun of Logan Paul. I don't know Logan Paul.
Yeah.
But Logan Paul sees that, and he's like going through some shit in his life. It's the last thing he fucking needs
Yeah.
is some guy with a platform,
Right.
fucking talking shit about him. When he's like, dude, I fucking filmed a dead body. I didn't know this was gonna happen. Okay, clearly I fucked up. Let
Right.
me just like,
Right,
and then I fucking went after a professional comedian, and I fucked up again. Like,
Right.
and then because now I kind of like, this sounds really silly, but like Logan Paul and Jake Paul, I kind of follow them, and I
Yeah.
get a kick out of them. The fact that they're boxing and they fucking fly private jets and they
Yeah.
drink champagne, and like, I don't have any negative thoughts for them. Tim
Right.
Dillon's friends with them.
Right.
Says he's like, they're actually really good guys. It's bizarre to see their lifestyle, but like, it is kind of crazy. Is that you're right? It's like, have a private conversation,
Yeah.
and there's no reason to make it public.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
yeah.
it's like Kevin Brennan when he said he cheated on his wife, and then she found out. Did you ever hear this story?
No.
He did it on Opie and Jim, and she found out, and they go, he came back to Opie and Jim, and they're like, so you got in a lot of trouble. He's like, yeah, my wife's leaving me. And they're like, what? He's like, yeah, I guess I said I cheated on her, and she heard it. And they're like, what? He's like, yeah, I said to her, that was in the last 5 minutes of the show. Who listens to the last 5 minutes?
Yeah. Yeah. It's better to keep those, personal beefs. Keep them off
Well,
the airwaves. I would
Dude,
say.
I'm so fucking glad that me and you got to do this. I've been wanting to podcast with you for a long
man. I really
fucking
appreciate.
time.
I really appreciate because I reached out to you, man, and I really appreciate you having me on.
Dude,
Man. Thank you so
anytime,
much.
man. Look, I'm telling you, me and you are connected.
Yeah.
And like, we are legit are.
Yeah.
That there are when you succeed, I feel that in a weird way, because I go, like, that moment we had with me and Jay in that
Yeah.
fucking hotel room where we realized how we were connected. I was like, oh my God, I almost got into a fist fight with you in college.
Yeah.
Like, and then you to see these two dudes who were both probably self-proclaimed meatheads at the time,
Yeah.
come to a place where we're both doing the same fucking
Right.
occupation
Right.
is so bizarre a coincidence
Yeah.
that
it's
I
a-
don't think it's a coincidence.
Yeah. It's a weird thing. It's a weird thing how things work out.
I mean, I don't know
Yeah.
if you know this, but like, I've silently and vocally been a champion of yours
I
about
do
how
know it.
fucking talented you are.
I do know it, and
Like,
I appreciate it.
I had my
man.
manager.
Yeah.
I was like, I grabbed my manager. I was like, you got to see this guy. Best fucking comic in the business. Fucking your album comes out, dude. Hardcore. I'm telling you when I say this. That's why I say this. Anytime you ever have anything you want to promote, my podcast is an open platform. Even if you can't make it out, you're like, yo, I'm doing the other podcast.
Right.
Would you mind throw it in the reads? 100%. Any project you got going on, tour dates, you name it. You want me to retweet anything? Fucking done, dude. I really,
man.
honestly, I have so much love for you and so much respect for, because comedically, dude, there's not a lot of guys doing what you're doing.
That means a lot, man.
You're the
I
fucking-
really appreciate that. And I know I told you this at the Impractical Jokers tour, but like I watched you, after I met you at Jay's, you were in the clubs for years and years, working the improvs and stuff, and to see you in theaters now, like getting your due, is unbelievable, and I'm proud of you,
Thank
man.
you. I remember, I don't know how much this shook down, but I was like, I remember hitting up Jay going, you think Mike would go do the road with me and take him out in theaters? And he's like, yeah.
Yeah,
And I was like, I
absolutely.
would love for him to be on some
Yeah.
fucking dates.
yeah, that would be great.
So
dude.
the crowds that come see me,
yeah,
bro, you are the perfect setup for me. Like we do the same, we have the same perspectives,
right.
but fucking such
Different styles.
different styles
Yeah,
of
yeah.
comedy. It's fucking great, man.
Yeah.
Anytime you ever see a date where you're like, yo, man, I'd love to get on that show. Beacon Theater. I'm there in mid-March, I think. This podcast will probably be coming out right before then. I'm there March. Let me see. March 7th. I'm in the Beacon Theater. You in town?
I think I'm out the beginning of March, and then I'm going to Skankfest at the end. But like,
Skankfest South?
yeah,
Ah,
Skankfest South.
that's gonna be fucking
But
An
like my calendar
AIDS-riddled
only
journey.
goes 6 months, so after June,
okay.
after June, I have nothing on the books.
Well,
after June.
I haven't announced this tour, but I have a tour starting. Oh, how about what about July? Well, I think I said July 8th. Oh yeah, how about July 18th?
Yeah, I have nothing past June. Yeah.
Let's book this now. July 18th, I'm at the Borgata. I have 2 shows. July 18th. I'm gonna put you on. No, not at all. Please let them know. No, I announced it this morning actually. I'm gonna send it to them. They'll just reach out to you.
Okay.
And so if something comes up better, obviously, you feel free.
July.
Mike Vecchione, July 18th, the Borgata. Can you please reach out? Yeah, that'll be fucking
That's
blast,
great,
dude.
man. Thank you.
2 shows. Borgata's so much fun.
Is it the music room or do you do?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
I have no idea. If I'm doing 2 shows, I'm sure it's not the big room.
Okay.
I don't know what. I was just there.
Yeah, I was just there too. I was there last.
Oh
week.
no. It's
I was
the
there last
big
week.
room.
It is.
Yeah.
I
It's
figured.
because I went out and I was
figured,
like,
yeah.
this is. I'm not familiar with this room.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just there. But yeah, so July 18th.
That's great, man.
I'll have
Thank
him hit you up, and that would be great, man.
That's great.
We'll have a fucking great time too.
Yeah.
Invite your
That'd
brother.
be
Your
fun.
brother's out there, right?
Now my brother's in North Carolina now.
Oh, really?
But yeah, that's fun. It's a good time.
My idiot cousins from Philly will all come out. It'll be a blast. Well, dude, thank you for doing this, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Can I plug dates?
Yeah, please. And write these down so we can throw them up in the intro too.
Okay. For my social media is @Comic Mike V. So please follow me on all social media platforms @Comic Mike V. My website is MikeVecchione.com. In February 20, I'll be in these cities: Connecticut, Texas, Illinois. So Windsor Locks, Connecticut, February 28th and 29th at Bobby V's. Austin, Texas, March 4th through the 7th, Cap City, and Chicago, Illinois, Zanies, March 11th through the 14th. So Windsor Locks, Connecticut, Austin, Texas, and Chicago, Illinois. And also I'll be at Skankfest South in Houston, Texas, March 27th through the 29th. Please listen to my podcast, No Disrespect. It's on the Gas Digital Network. You can get it downloaded on iTunes also. That's No Disrespect. And please buy my album, The Worst Kind of Thoughtful, available on iTunes.
By the way,
Thank you.
We should just cut that and put that in our read because that's all the information. Yeah, that's fucking awesome, dude.
Thanks,
You're
man.
the fucking best, man.
I appreciate you having me, man. I really do.
No, I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Let's go in. I'll walk you through my house one more time.
That's cool.